Sometimes grief doesn't fade. It just hides behind daily routines, silent glances, and fake smiles. It sits there quietly, until something brings it rushing back like a wave. And for Amy, that wave is coming. After years of living with the pain of losing Ty, everything is about to change. A familiar figure on the horizon, a feeling too strong to ignore. Could it really be him? The soft morning light shines over Heartland, but it doesn't feel the same anymore. The horses graze quietly in the pasture, the barn stands still, and the wind carries no laughter. It's peaceful, but not warm. The camera slowly moves to Amy, standing near the ranch house. She's dressed simply, holding a cup of coffee, but her eyes are distant. They aren't focused on what's in front of her. They're looking back. Her memories come rushing in, as if the past is playing like a silent movie. She sees Ty, not the one who left, but the one who lived. The one who smiled when he fixed a broken fence. The one who gently stroked a horse's mane while Amy watched with love in her eyes. The one who stood beside her when everything seemed hard. The one who gave her strength. We see flashes of their love story. The way he looked at her on their wedding day, proud, calm, steady. The way he held baby Lindy, full of hope and joy. There's warmth in these memories, and for a moment it almost feels like he's still here. But then reality hits. The memories fade. We return to the present. The barn is quiet. There's no voice calling her name, no boots walking through the doorway. Only silence. Amy walks toward the grave under the big tree, the one they picked together to remember him by. She kneels, her fingers brushing the stone. Her lips move, but we don't hear the words. It doesn't matter. We know what she's saying. We feel it. She misses him. Every day. Not just because he was her husband, but because he was her best friend, her partner in everything. Jack watches her from the porch. He doesn't speak, but the pain is written on his face. Lou stands in the kitchen, holding a photo of Ty and Amy, her eyes full of tears she doesn't let fall. Tim walks past the barn, his steps slower than before. Everyone has carried the loss in their own way, but Amy, she's the one who stayed frozen in it. The voiceover speaks softly. Ty Borden didn't just leave a hole in this family. He left behind a love so deep it couldn't be buried, and now, when the world thinks he's just a memory, something is stirring on the wind, something Amy can't ignore. The screen begins to fade, the camera lingering on the empty field, behind the barn. There's nothing there. Yet. But the way Amy keeps looking, as if waiting for something, it tells us everything. She hasn't stopped hoping. Not entirely, because every morning Amy woke up for a second thinking Ty might still be there. She would roll over, reach for him, and touch nothing but cold sheets. It's been years. But grief has its own calendar. It doesn't follow time. It follows memory. Amy doesn't speak much anymore. She goes through her days like she's walking, through mist, feeding the horses, brushing their manes, fixing the gates Ty used to fix, raising Lindy with all the strength she can gather. But in the quiet moments, when no one's around, her strength cracks just a little. That's when the tears come, not loud or dramatic, but soft, like a whisper. The kind that fall without warning. There's a scene. Amy sits on the front steps, watching the wind play in the tall grass. She holds Ty's old flannel shirt in her lap, not for comfort, just because it still smells like him. Lindy runs by chasing a puppy, laughing. For a moment, Amy smiles, but the smile fades just as quickly as it came. She's proud to be strong, but it's exhausting. At night, she dreams. Sometimes she dreams of Ty's voice, not saying anything in particular, just calling her name like he used to. Other nights, she dreams of the last time they kissed. She always wakes up reaching, out hoping that maybe, just maybe, this time it's real. But then something starts to shift. It begins small. A hawk flies overhead, the same kind that used to circle above Ty's favorite trail. Then the radio in the barn turns on by itself, playing their song. Amy stares at it, frozen, then turns it off. Coincidence, she tells herself. It has to be. But then, she finds the note, tucked between the pages of Ty's old journal. A piece of paper she swears wasn't there before. It's in his handwriting. It simply says, "Home isn't a place, it's you." Amy stares at it for a long time. Her hands tremble. This can't be a trick. She reads it again, and again. Later that day, Lindy draws a picture and brings it to Amy. It shows their family. All of them. Amy, Lindy, the horses, and Ty, standing beside them like he never left. When Amy asks who the man is, Lindy answers softly, "Daddy came back in my dream last night. He said he misses you." Amy feels the air escape her lungs. She doesn't want to believe. Hope is dangerous. Hope hurts. But something inside her starts to stir, something that hasn't been awake in a long time. The camera lingers on Amy as she stands in the barn that night. The wind picks up, the doors creak. And for a moment, it feels like someone is watching, not in a scary way, in a familiar, quiet way. The way Ty used to stand behind her, just close enough to be felt. She doesn't turn around. Not yet. But she smiles, just slightly, because for the first time in years, she doesn't feel alone. At first, it was just a flicker beyond the tree line, the kind of thing your eyes catch but your mind dismisses. Amy stood at the fence, brushing, her hand across the worn wood, when something pulled her gaze toward the horizon. A figure, far off, walking slowly. Her heart stuttered. It couldn't be. She blinked, looked again, and the field was empty. She turned away. Wishful thinking, she told herself. But that night, it happened again. A dream, maybe, or something. More. Amy is in the barn, just like she's been every evening for years. The air is thick with the smell of hay and memories. She hears a step behind her, heavy, familiar. She turns sharply. No one's there. But the feeling lingers, wrapping around her like a blanket she didn't know she needed. For the first time in a long while, she feels peace. Then it comes. Not a voice, not a vision, but a presence. One quiet morning, as the sun rises behind the mountains, Lindy runs into the house shouting. She says there's someone by the tree. The tree with Daddy's stone. Amy doesn't hesitate. Her boots hit the ground hard as she races outside, her heart pounding louder than her steps. And then she stops, dead still. Standing beneath the tree is Ty, older, weathered, but unmistakably Ty. His face holds the weight of years past, but his eyes are the same. Gentle, deep, full of everything he never got to say. Amy doesn't move. She can't. Her breath is caught somewhere between hope and heartbreak. Her lips tremble, and for a moment, the world goes silent. No birds, no wind, just her and him, as if time stopped for this one moment. He doesn't speak. He just walks. Forward, slow and careful, like approaching a wild horse. And when he reaches her, he takes her hand, the same way he did the first time they met. And she knows. This is real. From the porch, Jack sees them. His jaw tightens, eyes wet. Lou covers her mouth, whispering, "It's him! It's really him." Tim drops the toolbox he's carrying. Lisa clutches Jack's arm. Georgie, frozen, can barely believe it. Tears fall, not just from Amy, but from everyone. Because sometimes life takes away more than we can handle. But every once in a while, it gives something back. Something impossible. The music swells. Amy leans into Ty's chest. No words are needed. Her face buried in the only place that ever felt like home, and above them, the sky opens wide, blue and endless. Just like the love that brought him back, the kind of silence that falls when the heart recognizes what the eyes can't yet believe. The kind of tears that don't come from pain, but from healing, slow, gentle, and deep. Ty's return didn't break the world open with noise. It was soft, like a storm that had passed, leaving only clear skies behind. When Amy fell into his arms, it wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, like she had finally stopped holding her breath after all these years. She didn't ask where he'd been. Not yet. Her heart didn't need details. It just needed the beat of his against hers. Lindy stood a few feet away, confused at first. Then, with the innocent certainty only a child could have, she whispered, "Daddy?" Ty turned to her slowly, eyes already wet. He knelt, arms open, and she ran to him like she'd never forgotten. Because she hadn't. Back at the house, the family gathered. One by one, they stepped outside. Jack, Lou, Tim, Lisa, Georgie. They didn't speak at first. They didn't have to. The way Jack took off his hat and placed a hand over his chest said more than any words could. Lou was already crying, shoulders shaking. Tim looked like he'd seen a ghost, but one he'd prayed for. Ty stood before them all, not as a perfect man, but as one who had fought through something none of them could imagine. Whatever happened out there, wherever he had been, he was here now, home, whole. They came to him slowly, first Jack pulling him into a long, firm hug, whispering, "You've always been family. Nothing changes that." Then Lou, clinging to him like the years had shattered and fallen back into place. Tim held back until the very end, then stepped forward, looked Ty in the eyes, and nodded with a rare softness. "You're stronger than I thought," he said, voice breaking. Later that evening, the whole family sat around the dinner table. The plates were full, but nobody ate at first. They were too busy stealing glances, smiling, holding each other's hands. The air was full of memories, and the beginning of new ones.
Later that evening, the whole family sat around the dinner table. The plates were full, but nobody ate at first. They were too busy stealing glances, smiling, holding each other's hands. The air was full of memories, and the beginning of new ones. Outside. The sun dipped behind the hills, bathing Heartland in gold. Horses grazed quietly. The ranch breathed again. Amy and Ty sat on the porch after everyone went to bed. No words passed between them. Amy rested her head on his shoulder. Ty kissed her forehead. And for the first time since that terrible day, the world felt whole. The voiceover returns, gentle and warm. Sometimes love writes stories, even grief can't end. And when the heart is strong enough, even the impossible finds its way home. As the screen fades to black, the final image lingers. The family together again, laughter echoing under the open sky. A place where pain once lived, now full of light. Not every story ends where we expect. Some drift, some pause, and some find their way home when the heart is finally ready. Ty Borden's return to Heartland wasn't just about one man walking back into a ranch. It was about the return of love, of memory, of hope itself. In the days following Ty's return, Heartland changed. Not loudly, not suddenly, but deeply. Like spring water moving under snow, quiet and slow, but always toward life. There were no press interviews, no big announcements, just the family. Together, learning how to move forward again. Amy couldn't sleep for the first few nights. Ty lay beside her, just like before, but her mind kept waking her, checking to make sure he was still there. Each time, he was. He'd hold her hand in the darkness, and they'd stay that way for hours, not speaking, just breathing, together. Real Lindy adjusted quicker than anyone. To her, it was simple. Her daddy was back. That was all that mattered. Smiling more, smiling more. Her laughter, once tinged with something missing, became whole again. She would follow Ty around the ranch, helping him with small tasks. And asking the kind of questions only children think to ask. Where were you, Daddy? Ty paused. He looked at Amy, then back to Lindy. Far but thinking about you every day, And that was enough for her. She didn't need more. Our love didn't need proof. It just needed presence. Asterisk for the rest of the family, it took time. Jack was the first to open up. He spent an entire afternoon with Ty fixing an old fence neither of them had touched in years. They didn't talk much, but at the end, Jack handed Ty a cold lemonade and said, "Feels right having you back." That was all, but it meant the world. Asterisk Lou, ever the protector, struggled. Her heart was full of joy, but her mind still questioned it. How? Why now? What really happened? She didn't press at first. She watched, waited. Then one evening, she sat next to Ty on the porch while everyone else was inside. The sun was setting. The horses were calm. Asterisk, you were dead, Ty, she whispered. We buried you. We mourned you. Asterisk, Ty nodded. I know. I was gone. Not in body, maybe, but in every other way that counted. I was lost. Lou, I didn't think I could come back. Asterisk. She looked at him then, really looked. And in his eyes, she saw the weight he carried, the pain, the silence. But she also saw something else. Gratitude, humility, a fierce desire to begin again. Asterisk, she hugged him. No more words. Just that asterisk Tim came around last. He was never great with emotions, and even worse with surprises. But one afternoon, he found Ty in the stables grooming Spartan. Tim watched from the doorway for a while before speaking. Asterisk, he missed you, you know? Tim said, Spartan, he'd go down that trail looking for you for months. Asterisk, Ty turned. His eyes welled up. I missed him too. I missed all of this. Asterisk, Tim stepped forward, clapped him on the shoulder. Just don't run off again. Asterisk, it was Tim's way of saying, I'm glad you're back. Ty understood. Asterisk days turned 2 weeks. The routine of the ranch resumed, but with a softness that hadn't been there in years. Ty relearned the land, the rhythm, the way the sun hit the fields in the early morning. He and Amy took slow rides in the evening, not speaking, just holding hands and letting the silence between them say everything. Asterisk. And then came the day. Amy asked. They were sitting by the river, the same place Ty had once promised her forever. Where? Were you really? She asked. Ty stared at the water, at the way it moved like time. I was in a place where nothing made sense, he said, where I couldn't feel anything. Not pain, not joy, just emptiness. I thought I was dead. Maybe I was. But somewhere inside your voice kept calling me. I kept seeing Lindy's face, kept hearing Jack's laugh, the sound of Spartan's hooves, the smell of this ranch. It was like a thread pulling me through. The dark asterisk. Amy nodded slowly, her eyes full. She didn't press. That was enough. She knew what it cost him to come back. Asterisk that night, as the stars blanketed the sky, the family gathered for dinner. Not a special occasion, just a shared moment. The food was simple, roast chicken, potatoes, fresh bread. But the table was full of people, of stories, of love. Asterisk Lindy stood up midway through and raised her glass of apple juice. To Daddy, she said, beaming, because he came home. Asterisk, everyone clinked their glasses. And for a moment, time stood. Still later, Ty sat with Jack on the porch. You think it'll last? Ty asked. Asterisk, Jack didn't look at him, just kept rocking in his chair. Asterisk, son, love like this. It never leaves. It just waits. And you came back. That's what matters. Ty looked out at the land, golden under the moon. I'm never leaving again, he whispered. Asterisk, Jack nodded. Good. Asterisk, the screen fades to the image of the barn at night. Quiet, peaceful, a place that had held so much loss, now filled with warmth again. Asterisk then. A voiceover begins, slow, emotional, and rich. Asterisk, some stories are written in the stars, some in the soil, and some in the hearts of those who never gave up. Heartland was never about perfect endings, was about holding on, about believing, even when it hurts. And sometimes, when the sky clears, when the heart is ready, even the impossible comes home. Asterisk a final shot. Amy, Ty, and Lindy walking toward the sunset, Spartan grazing nearby, the mountains silent in the distance. Asterisk.